phase 4 of the 6th phase. Now, firstly, I'm excited you made it this far, because now as we get to phase 4, something fundamentally changes about what we're going to be doing with your mind. You see, in my book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, I described a phenomenon I noticed when people go through personal growth. And it's actually really simple. To truly be living our best life, I believe there are 2 pillars that we got to make sure are supporting our being. Now, the first is what you could call the pillar of happiness, the practice of things such as forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, that actually helps you feel better about the world right now, better about yourself. It helps bring joy into your being. You could call this the pillar of happiness. But being happy alone is not enough. That second pillar is what you would call the pillar of vision. And this means having some forward vision for where you want your life to go, where you want to grow, where you want to take the world, what you want to leave humanity with as a legacy. You cannot just have one pillar. But the problem is, very few people have both pillars completely solid. Now, based on these 2 pillars, you could really plot where you are on a graph. And anyone can do this. There are people who have no happiness and no vision. And if you look at this graph over here, you'll see that they are at the bottom right-hand corner of this graph. They're in a state that I call the negative spiral. This means you're not happy right now, you're kind of miserable, and you have no vision of where you want your life to be. Being in a negative spiral is a dangerous state. You need to get out. It is not going to serve you. But some people certainly have that pillar of happiness come strong. So they go from the negative spiral to a state that is in the right upper corner. I call that state the current reality trap. Now here's why I call it a trap, right? This is a state where you have the happiness pillar solid, but you have no vision. Now that to me is a trap, because your happiness becomes fleeting. Look, you can get happy on the right drugs, like Prozac, right? But true fulfillment comes from being able to extend these feelings of happiness and to do something useful with these feelings of happiness so that you're making other people happy as well. So simply being happy but not having that pillar of vision, not knowing what you want to do with your life or the mark you want to leave in your world, is a current reality trap. Now, there's another group of people who don't have the happiness pillar, but they have their vision pillar really solid. A lot of these people fall in the lower left-hand corner. We call this category stress and anxiety. You could well be that entrepreneur who's constantly thinking about that next big sales target or that next big office or that next big app that you're building. And you've decided that you're not going to be happy, you're not going to be joyful till you get there. This too is a trap, because modern science says that happiness fuels you towards your goals. In other words, the happier you are, the more likely you are to attain your goals. People in this state, and if this is you, have fallen into another trap. And that trap is something that we call the paradox of intention. You've decided that you're going to postpone your happiness till you hit a particular goal, not realizing that happiness instead is really your fuel to get you there. In Sean Akers' book, The Happiness Advantage, he cites study after study after study as a Harvard psychologist on how happiness actually makes people perform better towards their goals. Doctors who are happy perform 19% better diagnoses. Salespeople who are more optimistic are over 50% more likely to close a sale. Students who are primed to be happy do better in their tests. So the mistake of being in stress and anxiety is that because you have the vision pillar, but you don't have that happiness pillar solid, you're not performing at optimal efficiency. Now, the ideal state is over here in this diagram. The ideal state is the upper left-hand corner, and it's a state I call, in my book, the state of bending reality. And I'll explain in a moment why I call it that. But this is where your happiness pillar is strong and your vision pillar is strong. Now, people in that state experience something beautiful. First, they have beautiful visions pulling them forward. They know the experiences they want in life. They know how they want to contribute to the world. They know how they want to grow. But they are happy where they are now. They are paying attention to that reverse gap. They are practicing gratitude. They've healed past charges through forgiveness. They display compassion towards other people in the world. They've nailed that happiness gap. And so they move towards their goals far, far, far faster. And this is why it's so important to be in that state of bending reality. Now, to get there, You got to make sure both pillars that support your being are epically strong. Now, if you paid attention to the way I've designed the 6th phase, you'll notice that the first 3 phases are all about the happiness pillar. And now we're going to go to phase 4, 5, and 6, which is all about vision. It's about the vision pillar. It's about creating a vision for your life that pulls you forward so you can live your best life and make a dent in the universe. So phase 4 is really easy. This is where you give yourself some time in your 6 phase meditation routine to practice what is commonly called creative visualization. Some people call it dreaming about their goals. Some people call it daydreaming. But this is focused daydreaming on beautiful things that you want to bring into your life. Now, I could talk for hours about the nuances of creative visualization, but what I'm going to do is just give you a quick overview. And those of you who want to go deeper, I'm going to point out a couple of free videos I've put up on the web that will have you understand the art of this process deeper so that you can apply it to various goals, to self-healing, to other areas of your life. But in a nutshell, this is what it's about. It's about thinking about your life 3 years in the future, picking 1 or 2 or 3 aspects of that life that excite you. It could be your love relationship. It could be the body of your dreams. It could be where you want to take your company. And then this phase involves seeing in front of you those visions and feeling the emotions of joy associated with the vision. So let me tell you how to do this. So firstly, before you get to this state, ideally, you have written down goals. You have goals in your life. Now, many people make a common mistake. They underestimate what they can do in 3 years, and they overestimate what they can do in 1. All of us do this. We overestimate what we can do in a year, but we vastly underestimate what we can do in 3 years. And therefore, for this particular phase, I'm going to ask you to actually push yourself to think 3 years ahead. Where would your life be in 3 years? And then you're going to push yourself to go a little bit beyond what you currently expect or seek as your 3-year goal. Because if you're like most people, you're underestimating yourself. So think about the type of money you want in your bank account. Think about the places you want. Think about where you want your career to be. Think about what great works you want to bring to the world. Think about where you want to travel to. Think about your relationships. If you're a Mindvalley student, you could use the 12 category model from Lifebook to think about your life in these 12 categories. You could also use the 3 most important questions exercise from Mindvalley. It's a 7-minute video, and I've given you the link below, that will help you identify what goals you want to set for yourself in 3 important categories that truly matter in life. The experiences you want to have in the world, your goals for growing yourself, and your goals for how you want to contribute to humanity. Now, I'm going to assume at this point you already have some idea of your goals, of where you want to be in 3 years. There are other programs we'll make available to you later on that can help you refine this. But for now, let's assume you have these goals tight. Here's what you're going to do next. In phase 4, you're going to imagine in front of you a giant television screen. Now, it could be a giant TV screen, those dream TVs that you wish you could put on your wall, assuming you had a giant wall in your living room. It could even be a silver screen in a cinema. But the idea is you're seeing a giant TV screen or movie screen in front of you. Imagine the screen to be roughly 6 to 9 feet in front of you. Now, think about your goals. Think about any goal 3 years ahead in any category of your life, 1 to 3 goals. You're going to spend 1 minute to 3 minutes on each goal, right? This is the most fun part of the 6th phase because you're basically thinking about your glorious future. So let's say, for example, you want to be in better shape. On your giant screen, you might reflect upon what you're doing in terms of your health practices 3 years down the road. You could see yourself working out regularly. You could see yourself wearing clothes that you currently cannot fit into. You could see yourself walking down the street 3 years from now in your new body, feeling more confident with heightened energy levels because you're in better shape. Maybe you're looking at your relationship. See yourself traveling across the world with this man or woman of your dreams. Or see yourself in your current relationship with things going so beautifully, it's as if you're in a romantic movie. Pick any area of your life and just play with the imagery for a while. But you're going to put this imagery on this giant mental screen. Now, there's a reason we use the mental screen, and this idea comes from one of the first guys who started researching creative visualization. His name was Jose Silva, and he did experiments on this in the 1970s with millions of students whom he would train. Now, what he found is that the most effective results came when they would project their vision on this giant screen 6 to 9 feet in front of them. Now, the second thing Jose Silva found is really interesting. He found that you get better results when you're not just imagining this with your sense of vision, but you're imagining this with all of your senses, all 5 senses. So, for example, you want to see yourself in that gorgeous new car that you've always dreamed about purchasing? Well, don't just see the car on your giant screen. Imagine yourself driving the car with the wind blowing through your hair. Imagine the feeling of the leather on your palms. Imagine what the sound system looks like. See, just in that, you've brought in the sense of touch. You've brought in the sense of hearing. You can even bring in that new car smell. Imagine what that new car smell is. Now you've brought in the sense of smell. So you're making it 5 sensory. That really, really, really helps, right? So it's not just about your sense of vision. In fact, here's an interesting question. If someone was born blind and never had use of their eyes and has no concept of vision, would this technique still work for them? Well, the answer is yes, because it's not the visualization that's causing the benefit, it's the feeling, right? So as long as this blind person could feel the feeling of the leather, could feel the wind going through their hair, they would still get results. But that brings us to point 3. The sensory imagination that you're doing is only there to produce a feeling, and that feeling is what you want to dive into. So you've got to bring in those feelings. If you're imagining yourself on this perfect date, say, exploring the islands of Greece, yes, you want to see yourself on the cliffside with your loved one next to you. You want to smell the flowers. You want to feel the wind. You want to listen to the sounds of Greek music. But ultimately, it's the feeling inside you that helps bring this to reality. That feeling of joy, that feeling of, I did it, that feeling of being in this incredible dreamlike situation. You must capture the feeling. So if you're doing this well, as you get to phase 4 of the 6th phase, often you're feeling extreme joy. Some people, as they're doing this, have tears running down their eyes because they've so nailed the feeling. The more powerful you go into the feeling, the better results will be. So remember those 3 things. Now, I'm a big fan of Jose Silva's work. His work influenced me a lot. One of the most interesting things is he also found that whatever you're visualizing tends to come true faster when you see the benefits, not just for yourself, but for other people as well. So you see your loved one benefiting, you see your kids benefiting. And look, even if you're visualizing that car for yourself, imagine how much your friends are going to be happy when you can drive them around in this beautiful new sports car. Let's say you're trying to imagine yourself having a healthier back because you suffer from back pain. Not a problem. See how your grandkids are going to be happier because you can lift them up without feeling tired, without experiencing pain. You can play ball with them in the park. So the more people you bring into this visual melody, the better the results tend to be. And that's phase 4. Now, whenever you're ready, you can play the audio to get guided through the 6 phase meditation. We're going to go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. That entire approach may take about 7 minutes.